My fiancée dumped me for a spiritual trainer after a palm reader said I wasn't her soulmate, but what I revealed later left her in tears and regret. I'm a 32-year-old male and was engaged to my fiancée, a 29-year-old female. Let's call her Liv. After being together for 5 years, we met during grad school on a group project in a digital media program. Those late nights studying turned into coffee dates, dinner dates, and eventually 5 years of what I thought was a solid relationship. We had a wedding planned for next month with all deposits paid. $28,000 down the drain, with my parents covering half. Invitations were sent to 180 people, and a honeymoon was booked to New Zealand. We had a downtown apartment with a river view, shared finances, a joint account for bills, and separate accounts for personal stuff. We were talking about starting a family next year. My job as an animator keeps me busy with tight deadlines and long rendering sessions, but I've always made time for my relationship. I work for a studio doing commercial projects, and I'm developing my own short film. Liv used to love seeing my character designs and would give feedback on storylines. My buddy Bill has been my best friend since high school. We played basketball together back then. I was decent, but Bill was the star player who could have gone somewhere with it if he hadn't blown out his knee senior year. We still hit the courts twice a week, talking trash and acting like we're still 17. Those games are sacred. Work deadlines or relationship drama don't matter. Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings are court time. Your three-point shot is as weak as your character designs, he'd say after blocking my shot. I'd come back with, at least I can animate things that move, unlike your post-up game. Just constant ball-busting that's kept us sane for 15 years. When I started dating Liv, Bill was supportive but always maintained that healthy skepticism good friends should have. He got married young, divorced at 27, and had seen enough relationship disasters to develop a sixth sense about them. One of the things I loved about Liv was her cooking. She made these amazing pasta dishes from scratch, her grandmother's, recipes from northern Italy that she'd perfected over the years. She'd spend Sundays meal prepping for the week while I handled cleanup duty. Our finances were solid too. I was making $84,000 at the studio with benefits. She was pulling $78,000 as a UX designer at a financial tech company. We'd been saving aggressively for a house down payment, planning to move out of our rented apartment after the wedding. By our calculations, we'd have enough for 20% down on a decent place in the suburbs within a year after getting married. My parents had already given us $14,000 for the wedding, and her parents had contributed about $5,000, mostly for her dress and the rehearsal dinner. We'd put in another $9,000 of our own money. Everything was set. About 6 months ago, Liv started hanging out with this new friend group led by a woman named Mia. These weren't regular friends. More like a women's empowerment circle that charged membership fees of $200 a month and sold overpriced essential oils. Mia called herself a spiritual guide, but was essentially just a palm reader who'd occasionally throw in tarot cards and astrology charts. Mia was a piece of work. She was 38, permanently single, and lived in a renovated loft downtown that she claimed was energetically optimal because it sat on some kind of ley line intersection. In reality, it was just an overpriced apartment above a vegan coffee shop that charged $7 for regular coffee with a different name. Despite claiming to be a spiritual guide to the stars, her client list mysteriously never included anyone verifiable. I didn't think much of it at first. Everyone's entitled to their hobbies, even if they're paying $200 a month to have someone tell them that Mercury being in retrograde is why they got a parking ticket. But then Liv started bringing home crystals for the apartment, talking about aligning her chakras and spending more time discussing her divine feminine energy than actually having conversations with me. She'd leave these chunks of quartz and amethyst all over our apartment. I once nearly broke my toe stepping on a grounding stone she'd placed on the floor next to our bed. When I asked her to at least keep them contained to her home office space, she accused me of blocking her spiritual flow. The physical changes started subtly. First, she dyed her hair pink. Not a normal shade, but some pastel rose quartz color that Mia said would amplify her heart chakra. Then came the wardrobe overhaul. Flowy boho dresses, beaded necklaces, and oversized sweaters replaced her usual well-fitted clothes. She started wearing these loose harem pants around the apartment that caught on everything. When I pointed out that they were impractical, she said I was too focused on the material plane. She started burning incense constantly, which aggravated my mild asthma. When I asked her to at least open a window, she claimed I was resistant to cleansing energies. The apartment constantly smelled like a head shop, and my sinuses were never clear. The red flag I ignored. She started sorting our friends into categories based on their energetic impact. My buddy Bill was labeled an energy depleter because he made a joke about her new crystal collection looking like an overpriced rock display at the Natural History Museum. He wasn't wrong. Our Sunday cooking together disappeared. "Cooking meat disrupts my spiritual frequency," she announced one day. She stopped making those pasta dishes I loved and instead ordered expensive takeout from clean-eating restaurants. Our fridge, once full of home-cooked meals, was now stocked with $15 cold-pressed juices and pre-packaged Thai bowls. My monthly credit card statement started showing charges from places like Crystal Harmony Emporium and Divine Path Wellness. When I pointed this out, she said I was too attached to money and that investment in spiritual growth has infinite returns. Funny how those infinite returns always seem to flow toward Mia and her various business ventures. I later found out that Mia's little operation was basically a cult-like MLM scheme targeting professional women in their 30s. Classic playbook: make them feel special, isolate them from their partners, then sell them products and exclusive spiritual retreats at $1,500 a weekend. They'd have these women-only sessions. Mia had a whole routine. She'd start with basic palm readings at $50, then upsell to a comprehensive soul map at $350. Once she had them hooked, she'd introduce her empowerment circle that met weekly at $200 per month. The final boss level was her weekend retreats at a rented lake house where they did energy alignment. Ceremonies that were basically just guided meditation sessions while burning overpriced sage bundles. About 2 months ago, Liv was getting distant. All the classic signs were there, always on her phone, password changes. Late nights at wellness events. Sudden gym obsession at odd hours. My gut told me something was off, but I kept telling myself it was just wedding stress or work pressure. Her texting habits changed drastically. She used to put her phone down during dinner or when we watched movies. Now she was constantly checking it, smiling at messages, and turning the screen away when I'd walk by. The intimacy was gone. If I tried to hug her from behind while she was making her morning tea, she'd stiffen and step away. We went from regular physical affection to barely touching in the span of a few weeks. Sex became non-existent, always with a new excuse, "I'm too tired," or physical pleasure ties the soul to the material plane. Never heard that last one when we first started dating. I mentioned it to Bill over a game of one-on-one. "She's been acting weird," I said, dribbling past him for a layup. Bill just looked at me and said, "You know what's happening, right?" He stole the ball and sank a three-pointer. I did, but I wasn't ready to admit it. Instead, I rationalized, "She's just stressed about the wedding. Her mom's been a nightmare about the seating arrangements. You don't change passwords because your mom wants Cousin Becky at table 3 instead of table 8, Bill said, wiping sweat from his face. "Trust your gut, man." I wasn't completely oblivious. I'd noticed that all her new empowerment friends were going through major life transitions, divorces, career changes, or relationship drama. It was like Mia was specifically targeting women in vulnerable states, women looking for answers or direction. Even during all this, I was trying to focus on work. I had a big commercial project due, an animation sequence for a tech company's new AI assistant that would play at their keynote, and was staying late at the studio rendering frames and tweaking character movements. Liv used to at least ask about my day, but now she barely acknowledged when I came home exhausted at 10 p.m. The gym thing was the most obvious red flag. Liv had always hated morning workouts, but suddenly she was up at 5 a.m. for sunrise yoga, and then again at night for specialized training. On weekends, she'd disappear for entire days for retreats at Mia's lake house, coming home with vague stories and new spiritual merchandise. Bill noticed before I did that Liv's Instagram was filling up with gym selfies featuring the same male trainer in the background. "Who's the guy with the tribal tattoo who keeps showing up in her photos?" he asked me once while scrolling through her page. I brushed it off as her trainer. The tribal tattoo should have been warning enough. What year was it, 2003? I finally checked out this guy's Instagram profile. Nate was 27, a spiritual fitness coach who specialized in holistic body transformation for women. His profile was full of shirtless workout videos where he dropped pseudo-spiritual wisdom between sets. "Your body is the temple where your soul creates its reality," he'd say, while doing unnecessary slow-motion pull-ups. His bio claimed he was a former corporate drone who discovered his true calling through movement. The financial warning signs were there too. Our joint account kept getting hit with unexplained withdrawals. $100 here, $200 there, all supposedly for spiritual development courses and alignment sessions. When I suggested maybe cutting back since we were paying for a wedding, she acted like I was attacking her personal growth. One charge particularly stood out: $800 for a twin flame, Activation retreat at some hot springs resort 3 hours away. This wasn't just a spiritual scam. It was an expensive spiritual scam at a place that conveniently had luxury spa facilities. We'd set up that joint account specifically for wedding expenses and household bills. We'd each contribute a set amount monthly with the understanding that this was for our shared future. One night, I decided to confront her. She walked in around 10 p.m., her hair slightly damp like she'd recently showered at the gym after yoga. "Sure, we need to talk about what's been going on," I said from the couch where I'd been waiting for 2 hours, a half-rendered animation still open on my laptop. She immediately got defensive, claiming nothing was going on, refusing to make eye contact when I listed the evidence: late nights, password changes, money disappearing from our account, constant texting. She snapped back that my negative energy was suffocating her. I tried to stay calm, pointing out that we were getting married in a month with 108 invitations sent out and non-refundable deposits paid, while she was spending more time with her spiritual sisters and at the gym than planning our wedding. She actually had the audacity to tell me I was being materialistic about the wedding that my parents had sacrificed to help pay for. That wedding was now suddenly a symbol of my attachment to societal constructs. Convenient. The conversation escalated quickly into her claiming I was trapped in a three-dimensional perspective while she was ascending to fifth-dimensional consciousness. "Did Mia tell you that? The same Mia who tells you spending more money on her retreats will improve your spiritual health?" That set her off. "Mia's helping me see things clearly for the first time. She's helping me become who I'm meant to be. All you've ever wanted is for me to stay small in this pathetic little existence, making dinner and watching your little animations. You're so limited," she spat. "You're too afraid to expand beyond what you can see." Then she grabbed her purse. "I can't talk to you when you're putting out this kind of negative energy. I'm going to Amber's." Then she just glared at me and walked out. I texted Bill immediately. "You were right. It's happening." He replied within seconds, coming over, bringing pizza. 3 days later, Liv returned to the apartment. Her engagement ring was off, sitting on the coffee table between us. "I need to tell you something important," she started. "Mia did an advanced palm reading for me last week, and she discovered something concerning about my life path." I just sat there, already knowing where this was heading. The ring on the table made it pretty clear, but I let her continue with her script. "She says your energy signature doesn't align with my cosmic destiny. You're not my soulmate." I almost laughed. 5 years together, 1 month before our wedding, and suddenly my energy signature was the problem. Then came the kicker. I've been doing a lot of self-discovery work, and I've met someone at my new gym who really understands my spiritual journey. We have this connection that transcends the physical realm. Translation: she'd been sleeping with some wannabe fitness influencer who was feeding her the same spiritual nonsense as Mia, just with added protein shakes. The absolute audacity came when she actually said, "This isn't cheating. The universe brought us together. It's destiny." I raised an eyebrow. "So, if I'd been sleeping with someone else while we were engaged, that would be fine as long as I called it destiny?" She looked offended. "That's different. You're operating from a place of ego attachment. What Nate and I have is soul recognition." She explained how she'd been seeing this guy for about 2 months. 2 months of me planning our wedding while she was planning her exit and apparently spending our wedding fund to finance these spiritual connections with Nate. "Honestly," she said with a condescending smile, "I think this is for the best. You can go back to your little animation projects without my growth threatening your comfort zone. Your energy has always been so stagnant, so unwilling to evolve." I hadn't told her about the promotion I was in line for at the studio, or the industry award my side project had been nominated for. But sure, I was the stagnant one because I didn't believe rocks had magic powers. Then came the real insult. She suggested we could still be spiritual companions while she explored her true cosmic connection with Nate. She actually thought I might agree to some kind of open relationship arrangement 1 month before what was supposed to be our wedding. "Think about it," she said. "We've invested 5 years together. We don't have to throw that away completely. We could maintain our connection while pursuing our individual destinies." Turns out Nate had convinced her that traditional marriage was an energy prison that would prevent her soul star from ascending. I didn't yell, didn't beg, didn't try to reason with her. What was the point? You can't logic someone out of a position they didn't logic themselves into. I just nodded, got up and said, "It's your choice. I hope it works out for you." Her face showed confusion. She expected tears, anger, pleading, something to validate her narrative of breaking free from a controlling relationship. Instead, she got calm acceptance, which wasn't part of her script. "That's it?" she asked, looking almost disappointed. "You're not going to fight for us?" "There's no us to fight for if you've been sleeping with another guy for 2 months," I said. "You've already made your choice." After she left with some of her things, I called Bill. "She's gone," I said. Said a palm reader told her I'm not her soulmate. Been sleeping with her trainer for 2 months. "Jesus Christ," Bill said. "You okay? I'm coming over bringing food." Bill and his wife Annie showed up 30 minutes later with pizza. We sat on my balcony, and I told them everything. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. I actually considered for a second if she might be right. Bill snorted. "Yeah, and maybe my hemorrhoids are just my body's way of telling me I should quit my job and become a trapeze artist." That broke the tension. We ended up laughing about the absurdity of it all. The next day, Liv came to pick up the rest of her stuff. When I got home, all her things were gone. She'd left her key on the kitchen counter along with a note, "I hope someday." You understand, this was the universe guiding me toward my true path. I crumpled it up and threw it away. I notified our families that the wedding was off. I didn't throw her under the bus with mine, just said we'd grown apart and realized it before making a bigger mistake. My dad, practical as always, just asked if the deposits were refundable. When I said mostly no, he nodded and said, "Still cheaper than a divorce." My mom was more emotional, of course. She'd really liked Liv and had been excited about the wedding. When I finally told her the full story, her first reaction was, "You're coming over for dinner twice a week until further notice." Wedding logistics were a nightmare. I spent 3 days calling vendors, explaining the situation over and over. Most deposits were non-refundable, but a few places gave partial refunds out of pity. The venue kept the entire $8,000. The photographer was more understanding and only charged us the $500 deposit instead of the full $2,800. Breaking the lease was its own headache. We had 8 months left on a joint lease with a penalty of 2 months' rent to terminate early. Worth it to be done with the place and all its memories. $3,600 down the drain, but freedom has its price. I hired a financial advisor to help navigate the money mess. Got my name off the lease as soon as possible, even though it meant paying a penalty. Removed Liv from all my accounts, changed passwords, updated billing information on everything, and closed the joint account. After transferring what money remained to my personal account, I started hitting the gym 5 days a week because it helped clear my head. Bill started coming with me, claiming his dad bod was entering grandfather territory. We set up a routine: legs Monday, chest Tuesday, back Wednesday, shoulders Thursday, arms Friday, full body Saturday. No magical spiritual awakenings, just consistent progress tracked in a simple app. Started seeing real improvements too. The basketball games with Bill became even more important. We'd play until we could barely stand, trash talking the whole time. "Your defense is as weak as your chin line in that last animation," he'd say, after driving past me for an easy layup. "At least my characters move more convincingly than you do on that knee," I'd fire back. I found a new apartment closer to work. Better commute, better area, no memories. Bill came with me to viewings, turning it into a project. 1 bedroom with concrete walls, no hearing neighbors' arguments, and a balcony big enough for a grill. The day I moved in, Bill and 3 other friends showed up with a housewarming gift, a high-end coffee machine. No more $6 Starbucks runs. Bill said, "This thing will pay for itself in 3 months." He was right. I reconnected with college friends I'd lost touch with when Liv had labeled them energy vampires. They weren't soul-sucking monsters, just normal guys with jobs and relationships, who wanted to grab wings and watch the game occasionally. We set up a monthly poker night that became a regular thing. Low stakes, high trash talk, exactly what I needed. I started taking those certification courses I'd been putting off, the kind that actually lead to tangible career advancement, not certificates of spiritual alignment. I applied for a position at a competitor animation studio that offered better benefits and a 15% salary bump. Got it. My side project, the short film, took on new meaning. I changed some character designs, incorporated some subtle references to the experience. The main antagonist became a charismatic fraud who convinced people. They had special powers while slowly draining their bank accounts, therapeutic, to say the least. I started cooking again, too. Simple meals that didn't require a spiritual advisor to prepare. Found out I actually enjoy cooking when it doesn't involve arguments about whether cutting carrots disrupts their energy field. Meanwhile, Liv's life was unraveling on social media, which Annie monitored and reported on during our Sunday group dinners. These dinners became a regular thing. Bill and Annie would come over, and occasionally they'd bring Annie's friend Ruby, who was smart, funny, and refreshingly normal. The first time Ruby came to dinner, she brought a homemade dish that was legitimately amazing. "I stress cook," she explained with a shrug. Financial analysis all day makes me want to create something tangible by evening. We bonded over trading process stories, her precise measurements and timing. For perfect pasta compared to my animation workflow and frame rates. We both appreciated the discipline required to create something from scratch. Ruby was 31, worked as a financial analyst for a tech company, owned her own condo downtown, no roommates, no spiritual guides living on her couch, and had zero interest in crystal healing or any of that. While I was rebuilding, Liv's social media told its own story. First came the vague inspirational quotes about following your heart and embracing destiny, standard social media breakup theater. Then pictures with Gym Guy featuring excessive hashtags about twin flames and spiritual connections. The captions were painful. When the universe delivers your soulmate, you don't ask questions, you just follow the path. Hashtag blessed, hashtag twin flames, hashtag divine coupling. You dodged a bullet, Annie said, showing me a particularly nauseating post where Liv and Nate were doing partner yoga on a beach. Anyone who uses hashtag divine coupling deserves whatever is coming to them. A month in, the posts changed. Annie reported fewer couple photos, more cryptic statements about lessons from the universe and growth through pain. Apparently, her soulmate was swiping right on multiple spiritual journeys simultaneously. Nate was spotted at a bar with another client, and someone tagged him in a photo with a different woman at a concert on a night Liv had posted about connecting with my twin flame's energy under the full moon. The twin flame was apparently burning for multiple twins. Bill commented when Annie showed us the evidence. The unraveling continued when Liv posted about financial hardship as spiritual testing. Turns out Nate had convinced her to invest in his new mindful movement studio to the tune of her entire savings. The studio never materialized, but Nate had a new motorcycle. Cosmic alignment works in mysterious ways. Mia's empowerment circle imploded spectacularly too. Bill's cousin had a friend who was a peripheral member, and she shared the whole sordid story. Someone discovered Mia had been sleeping with several of the husbands whose marriages she'd been spiritually counseling into dissolution, including Nate, who apparently had been getting free advanced spiritual guidance in exchange for serving as Mia's soulmate bait for new recruits. When the husband of one of the group members found explicit texts between his wife and Nate, he went nuclear, creating a Facebook group exposing the whole operation, complete with screenshots of payment records and text messages. Turns out Nate had been working on commission, 15% of whatever his soulmate matches spent on Mia's services. The mechanics of the scam were simple. Mia would identify unhappy professional women through social media and networking events. She'd offer them a free palm reading, then identify blockages in their life path, usually related to their relationship. The whole thing collapsed like a house of cards. Mia's spiritual center, rented office space above a vape shop, closed overnight. The Facebook group grew to include dozens of women who'd been scammed, with damages totaling over $200,000 in membership fees, specialty products, and alignment retreats. Some of the women were talking about legal action, but most were too embarrassed to come forward publicly. The ones who did file police reports were told it was a civil matter since they technically agreed to pay for these services. Mia apparently skipped town, leaving Nate to deal with the fallout, and deal he did by immediately finding a new gig at a different gym across town and starting the same scam with a new group of women. Liv lost her spiritual sisters and her gym soulmate in the span of 2 weeks. I didn't get any satisfaction from seeing her life implode. It was just sad all around. She'd thrown away a solid relationship, burned through her savings, and humiliated herself publicly, all because she bought into some new age nonsense peddled by con artists. She destroyed her life with her own hands. The final blow came when Nate's actual girlfriend, yes, he had one the whole time, found out about his side hustles and went public. She'd been with him for 3 years while he was playing soulmate to at least 6 different women from Mia's group. She created her own Instagram account dedicated to exposing him, posting screenshots of his spiritual seduction techniques that were literally copied and pasted to multiple women. Nate's girlfriend had receipts for everything, bank statements showing cash withdrawals, matching deposits into Mia's accounts, text messages coordinating which women he should target next, even a pricing structure for different spiritual services that were really just covers for their scam. She'd found all this on his laptop. Careless operational security by Nate. Storing evidence of your cons on a shared computer is scamming 101 failure. Some of the text messages were particularly damning. In one exchange with Mia, Nate wrote, "Liv backed out today, said she was feeling guilty about the fiancé. Told her he's blocking her ascension. Back on track now." I was certainly livid during all this. Ruby and I had been getting closer. What started as group dinners turned into occasional coffee meetups, then actual dates. Smart, grounded, owns her own condo downtown. Our first conversation was about mortgage rates and whether the housing market was due for a correction. No discussion of Mercury being in retrograde or how my aura looked. We started dating casually, no pressure, just enjoying normal conversations that didn't involve cosmic destiny or chakra blockages. She'd come over and cook these amazing dishes while I worked on animations occasionally, looking over my shoulder and asking thoughtful questions about the process. The relationship developed naturally. We saw each other once or twice a week, gradually increasing the time we spent together. No rushing, just two people genuinely enjoying each other's company and building something real. She wasn't looking to mold herself to someone else's vision or to find herself through a relationship. She already knew who she was. 2 months after Liv walked out of my life, I was finally in a good place. New job, new apartment, new relationship. My animation career was taking off too. That side project had gotten attention from a few industry blogs, and I was fielding calls from studios interested in developing it further. The new job came with better pay, more creative control, and colleagues who actually understood the technical aspects of what I was doing. Then one evening, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I checked the peephole. Liv was standing there, looking nothing like the spiritual guru she'd become. Her hair was back to its natural color, no more bohemian clothes, no crystals around her neck. She looked like the woman I'd fallen for 4 years ago. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "Hey," she said, looking nervous. "Can we talk?" "We're talking now," I replied, leaning against the doorframe. "I was hoping we could talk privately," she said, glancing down the hallway. "This is as private as it gets," I said. "What do you want, Liv?" She took a deep breath, then launched into an apology, claiming she'd been manipulated and that Mia's group was a scam. I was in a vulnerable place, and they took advantage of that. Mia targeted me specifically because she knew I had money and was planning a wedding. "No," I said, cutting her off. She looked taken aback by my bluntness. "You knew. Everyone knew except the people being scammed. That's how scams work." She swallowed hard. "What I did to you was unforgivable. I threw away everything we had for a lie." "Apology accepted," I said flatly. "Is that it? I also wanted to... I was hoping maybe..." She stammered. "Look, I still have feelings for you. I think I always will. I know I hurt you, but I'm hoping there's still a chance for us." I actually laughed. "You're kidding, right?" "I know it's a lot to ask." "It's not a lot to ask. It's a delusional ask," I said. "You cheated on me, blamed it on a palm reading, stole money from our joint account, and humiliated me by canceling our wedding, and now you want to try again?" "I was brainwashed," she pleaded. "They targeted my insecurities. Mia convinced me that my hesitation about centerpiece colors meant I was spiritually misaligned with you, and yet somehow being spiritually aligned with Nate meant sleeping with him while I was finalizing our wedding plans," I countered. She had the audacity to tear up at this point. "I know it sounds crazy, but I really believed we had this cosmic connection. Nate knew exactly what to say to make me feel special, like I was chosen for something greater. So did every cult leader in history," I replied. "I've changed," she insisted. "I'm back to who I was." "Good for you. I've changed too. I'm with someone who doesn't need a palm reader to tell her who to sleep with." Her eyes widened. "You're seeing someone? Did you think I'd just be sitting here waiting for you to come to your senses?" "The universe moves in mysterious ways," I said, throwing her own nonsense back at her. "It's only been 2 months, she said, sounding genuinely surprised that I hadn't spent that time pining for her. "And you've already moved on? How could you? 2 months is plenty of time to realize what I don't want in my life," I replied. She started crying, genuine, ugly crying. "I've lost everything, my friends, my job, my savings, and now you. You didn't lose me. You threw me away." "There's a difference," I told her. She begged for another chance, saying we could start slow with just dinner or coffee. I refused. "I'll do anything," she said desperately. "Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. You should definitely get therapy, but not for me, for yourself." "So that's it? 5 years together means nothing?" It meant everything to me, but now it's just a lesson learned. As I started to close the door, she asked if she could at least give back the engagement ring. "Keep it," I said. "Sell it. Consider it your parting gift from the universe." "I already tried." She admitted. "It's only worth about half what you paid for it." "Another valuable lesson from the universe," I said. I closed the door before she could respond. Through the peephole, I watched her stand there for a few moments, then walk away. The weight that had been sitting in my chest for months finally lifted. 10 minutes later, Ruby texted, "Still on for dinner?" "I'm thinking that new Thai place." I smiled and texted back, "Absolutely. See you at 7. That weekend, the four of us, Bill, Annie, Ruby, and I, grilled on my new balcony. Just good food, actual conversations, and plans for a hiking trip next month. No discussion of energetic alignments or spiritual frequencies or cosmic destinies, just four adults, enjoying each other's company without needing it to be part of some greater universal plan. At one point, Annie pulled me aside. "Just so you know, Liv's been asking mutual friends about you, saying she's worried about your well-being since the breakup." I just laughed. "Tell them I've never been better." And I meant it. I was building something real, something that existed in the actual world rather than some fantasy realm where destiny and palm readings determine your life path. I sat down at my desk later that night, opened my animation project, and for the first time in months, the characters moved exactly how I wanted them to. No more stiffness, no more unnatural transitions, just smooth movement guided by skill and practice. Sometimes the universe delivers exactly what you need, but usually it's because you put in the work to create it.